What is your favourite season? A lot of people love spring because of all the life that comes. You know, we've had a winter that is cold and things are dead and dark, but then spring comes and there's life and there's sun. And people love spring because of that. I don't know if when you look at your life, generally, it can sometimes feel like this endless winter. It can feel like everything's cold and dark and damp and bleak, and there's no real life. There's no real sun, there's no warmth. And you feel like it's just this endless winter and there's never any sun. We can sometimes feel like that in life. But you know, I'm completely convinced that Jesus not only died but rose back to life in order to break that cycle of darkness and coldness, in order to bring life where it seems like there's just death. I don't know if you look around at the world and you just see hopelessness, you see death and despair. But Jesus came to bring life when there was just only death. Last week we thought about the cross, and this week we're thinking about the resurrection. Last week we focused upon Jesus dying, that God came down to earth as a man and died upon the cross for us, to take something away from us, to take away our sin, our judgment. And he did that for you, for me. But do you also know that Jesus rose for you? That he rose from the dead for you. See, he died for you to take something away, to take away your sin, your judgment. But when he rose to give you something. And that something is everlasting life. Life in heaven as a free gift. That's why Jesus rose. He came to earth to live perfectly. No sin at all, no mistakes, no errors. He was perfect. Not like me, not like you. And then he died the death that sinners deserve. He died to take that away from them. But he didn't just stay dead. He didn't just stay dead like any other religious figure you could think of. Any other religious leader you can think of is dead in a grave. But Jesus was different. He wasn't just a man. He was God in a body. And he not only died, he rose back to life to give us hope that one day when we die, we won't just stay dead in the grave, but we will rise with him. It's so amazing. It reminds me of a verse in Romans, the book of Romans. Paul, who was a Christian, wrote a book to a church in Rome. Romans chapter 8, verse 11. Paul writes this. He says, "If the Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the if the Spirit of God who raised Jesus from the dead lives in you, dwells in you, then God who raised Christ will also give life, eternal life, to your mortal body, to my mortal body." So what Paul is saying there is, if God has raised Jesus from the dead by his Spirit, if that Spirit lives in me, then the same thing's going to happen to me. When I die, I'm going to have the life that Jesus had. When I die, I'm going to rise from the dead like Jesus did. Isn't that amazing news? If that is true. See, we can look at life and think that things are hopeless and dead and there's no point to anything. Jesus died to give us a point. Jesus died to give life to you and to me instead of death. That is the amazing hope that he brings. That is the amazing hope that Easter brings. That instead of just having the darkness that we see in this world, the darkness that we see inside, we can have life we can rise from the dead after we die to go to heaven for free, forever. Not because we've done anything, but because Jesus has died for us and has risen from the dead for us, so that we will never die and always live. If that isn't good news, I don't know what is.